Welcome to UG EBG Padashala, and I am K. Rajan, presently working in the Department of History, Pondicherry University. Today we are going to deal with the subject Indian culture, and the paper is Archaeology, Principle and Methods. The module that we are dealing under this paper is Definition and Scope of Archaeology. And what for we are dealing with this archaeology means we are having certain objectives. The main objective is to the reconstruction of the past. Under these objectives, the first objective is to understand the role of archaeology in the reconstruction of the past. And the second one is to evaluate various methods involved in the reconstruction of the past. And third one is to learn about the interpretive methods followed in archaeological investigations, to know about the various methods used in collecting the cultural remains. And the total aim of the archaeology is to reconstruct the past. And how we are going to reconstruct past and what for we are reconstructing the past is to know about the human behavioral and cognitive systems in a given socio-political cultural context, and to understand the various methods, particularly the exploration and excavation techniques in archaeology, and to know about the various dating system involved in fixing the chronology of the tangible and intangible evidences. And if you in the part of introduction we say that what do you mean by archaeology? The main focus of archaeology is the study of human past, as I told you earlier, that deepens our understanding of the world in a more meaningful and resourceful manner. And second one is the study of human past means how we can study the human past. How to reconstruct the past means the study of human behavioral and cognitive systems that are involved in the evolvement of the cultural system within a given socio-political cultural context. And how to redo this history and how we move about this history means we require the collection of primary sources and secondary sources, and the collection involved interpretation also. With regard to the collection, we are having two methods we are following. Normally the archaeologists interpret the cultural remains in two ways. One is that archaeological method and another one is the archaeological theory. What do you mean by method? The archaeological method means the way we collect the archaeological remains, in the sense the way we collect the material remains in the field. And second one is how we interpret that particular material in the social context or cultural context that falls under the category of archaeological theory. So in a real sense, if you say that one, archaeological method is focusing on the way we collect the material, and the archaeological theory is dealing the way we interpret that particular material. So the way we collect the material and the way we interpret the material, the methodology changes. As I told you that in archaeological method, the focus is on the collection of data. In archaeological theory, the focus is on the interpretation or giving a better explanation on the collected material. So the collection of the data or the interpretation of the data depends upon one is having a deep knowledge in a particular area of studies. For instance, we are having copper plates, we are having inscriptions, we are having excavation methods, we are having exploration methods. So each one is having its own way of collecting the data. And everyone depends upon this knowledge, accumulated knowledge or acquired knowledge within him, he will interpret that particular data in a different manner. So then overall, then what do you mean by archaeology? Then what is the difference between history and archaeology? Why there are two subjects in India? We are having one archaeology and one is history. The history normally deals with the written documents, and whereas the archaeology goes beyond written documents and also he locates the written documents that are available in different parts of this country. So in total, the archaeology means the study of human behavioral and cognitive system to understand the cultural changes or processes that happened in the past through material remains. What do you mean by cultural process? Means that how this human evolved through the years, that we are going to deal on that particular aspect. And the term archaeology naturally derived from the Greek word archaeos, means ancient, and logos means discussion or reason or science. So thus archaeology is a science involving the study of human past through the material remains. But whereas the history is also involved in studying the past, but it is totally depends upon the written documents. In short, this archaeology is a study of human behavioral system in the sense. What are the goals? Why you want to do archaeology, or why you want to collect the material remains, and what for you want to reconstruct the past? So we are exploring the past. What do you mean by exploring the past? Means we are going to the field and collecting the data, or through the data, whatever the unknown past is being exposed in front of the society. And not only exposing that past or that historical or archaeological material, then we have to engage with that material, why this material is available in a particular area. So they are literally speaking, it is engaging the past. And after that, the man who involved in the reconstruct the past not should merely go as a routine job, and he has to himself experience the past so that he can evolve or he can interpret the past in a better manner. So explaining the past is another category. How you explain, how you interpret the data is more important in the historical studies or archaeological interpretations. Through that, your already known history is being enhanced, or the quality of the history is being upgraded. So that way we are enhancing the past. And by enhancing the past, actually the dark area or the unknown area is being brought to the light. So actually we are enlightening the past. So that way, through the process, we are completing the past experience, or engaging the experience, or engaging the past, or enhancing the past, or enlightening the past. So for when you go for the field work, you will never get the material intact. So there are different types of kinds of materials are available, and each material has to be understood in its own context. That means the form of the material is important. For instance, stone tools are having different type of stone tools, though the form is more important. So to consider the form of archaeological evidence and its distribution in time and space is more important. In the sense, the Paleolithic tools are available in different parts of the country, and where it is available and what time it is available, that has to be explained. And what identification of the stone tools or identification of the archaeological material is not only important, but what for function it carried, that also important. That way, to determine the function of the archaeological evidence and thereby construct the models of ancient behavior. So you are getting a stone implements and you are getting iron implements. Within the iron implements, we are having both offensive and defensive implements. So what is the function of each implement is more important to understand the social process that involved in the implements. To delimit the process, that to determine how and when there was a changes. For instance, we have moved from food gathering to food production, or hunter gathering to food production, or agro-pastoral economy, or commercial economy, or total agricultural economy, that we have moved from one stage to another stage because of the technological development. And understanding the various social systems or ecosystems. So that way, the process has changed through the years. So understanding these cultural processes is more important for interpreting the archaeological material. So the first goal of form is the description and classification of the material remains or material evidence to develop models of artifact assemblage and the distribution through time and space. And with regard to the function, for instance, that's the picture which I have shown in front of you, that they are having several archaeological material, particularly the stone tools are available. There are small, there are big. So each stone tool having different form. And each stone tool is not used for same purpose. One is for cleaning the material, one is for hunting purpose, one is for removal of the flesh from the main body. So that way each tool is having its own form and own function. So, but when you are taking the total tools that are available in that particular cultural context, it clearly shows that they are having a cultural process in the means that they are hunter-gatherers, not of agro-pastoralists. So, the same way the function, as I told you, the function, not only the tools with we can see the functions, there are several tools are available in the archaeological context. And that the available of the tools in a particular context also so important. Some tools are available within a house, some tools are available within a temple, or some tools are available. So each tool is having its own value, what we call it social values. For instance, a banana that is available in the market or the banana available inside the temple is totally different. One is having marketing value, one is having a ritual value. So both material wise, both are same, but literally speaking, the value is of the material is totally different. So that way, if for instance, there is one picture which I have shown in front of you, that is a Iron Age megalithic monument, what we call transepted schist with the two subsidiary schist. It is a faith system or what we call sepulchral monument. How they have venerated, how they have built this monument, what is the functions of the monument, and what is the ritual stands behind it, why they have created this much of big monument for an individual, whether to prove that he was socially very in a higher category or economic status or religious status. So what status they want to convey through this monument, it is very important. So the form and function and process of this monument is more important. Then if the third goal, as I told you, that is the process of what we mean by process, it is a economic process or social process or any other process, but generally in archaeology we take cultural process. An attempt to understand the cultural change through the years in a sequential or chronological order based on the study of tangible and intangible material that you collect in the field or collect through the excavation material. So for instance, I have shown one of the picture which is having the total cultural process that involved in the erection of the material and the placement of the material. The placement of the material also more important. The location of the material or location of the evidence or location of the object is more important. Where you are keeping the object is more important. Each object is having its own value even in the placement also. So in front of the god we are keeping several material for while doing a ritual or puja. So each material or where you have to keep and when you have to keep, how you have to keep, all there is an order. So in the same way in this excavation they have kept urn burial and then they kept big pots and four-legged jars. And in this grave, they have kept on the western side the complete what is eating material, paddy they have kept, and also semi-precious stones they have kept as a grave good. So the location of the material is also important that we have to take into account. So it is for understanding the cultural process. For instance, this grave is in a Padmasana position. Both are, all the three are graves. One is in a seated position, that too in a Padmasana position. And you see the one hand is kept below the chin and another hand kept at the pelvis. Even the man on the one of the fingers he wearing a ring. So this Padmasana is, I can say that it is very clear by the picture, it is a Padmasana position. it is understood. But when you go for ethno-archaeology study of the contemporary world, or if the present day villages, the same villages, only artisans are burying the dead in a Batmasana position. That the site which we have unearthed this burial also is involved in the gemstone technology. So the same artisan tradition is continuing or not, that can be reconstructed based on the ethno-archaeology. So the same way the child burial, for instance, normally we define when you are having more than one skeletal remains, for instance, we are having two skeletal remains here, normally we interpret as a male and female. That, but some people, some archaeologists, they interpret as a husband and wife. That should be wrong interpretation in the point of archaeology, because unless otherwise you know the DNA test, the science has to be taken into account, and also from where they have come, why they have buried together, whether it may be a brother and sister or it may be a husband and wife. So that depends upon your scientific analysis. So the interpretation, what is you conceived already, that should not be put into archaeology. So your conception is that whenever you are getting a male and female skeletal remains, you presume that they are husband and wife, but that may not be. So we must be very careful. Without in unbiased way, we have to interpret any archaeological material. Simply you have to say it is a male and female. And what do you mean by the role of science in archaeology? That is more important. And whether there are debate is going on, whether archaeology itself is a science subject or it is a social science subject. And some people say that no, it is not a science. No, some people say it is a science. So why the contribution of science to archaeology is one part, and contribution of archaeology to science is another part. So the two is involved in this process. Archaeology as a science, if you see that, scholars, as I already told you, they argue that application of science and scientific methods in a particular discipline, in the case of archaeology, doesn't mean or would not mean that subject as a science. They argue that science is extensively used in archaeology, but it deals on the human past. So it cannot be considered as a science, it is considered as a humanities or social science or part of a history. But Colin Renfro, the famous archaeologist, and argues that like scientists, archaeologists also collect data, conduct experiment, formulate a hypothesis, test the hypothesis, and summarize the result. So what the scientists are following, the same methodology archaeologists are also following. Therefore, archaeology also should be considered as a science. So for instance, this one, the contribution of science to archaeology can be discerned. This is the paddy that has been collected from a Iron Age megalithic monuments. In the sense we have 2500 years old this paddy remains, but we don't know what is the date of this paddy cultivation and whether it is a single plantation cultivation or wild paddy or it has been replantation has taken place. So this we have taken into the help of the science. The science, it is clearly told that this is a paddy, is a cultivated paddy, and it is that physics man has given the date to this paddy as 490 BCE. And further scientists, paleobotanists, they say that this has been Indica satvia. So this is Orisa satvia indica is the name of the botanical name given to this paddy. So these type of data, if you want to know, science help is required for interpreting the archaeological material. And for instance, if you take this one, is a etched cornelian beads. The painting that has been employed on this cornelian beads, the white painting, is about 2500 years old and was buried under the earth for 2500 years. Until date, this painting is intact. What type of, it is an organic pigment or inorganic pigment, we are not knowing. So even that after analysis from the scientists also, we could not able to understand how this paint has survived for more than 2500 years. This is beyond interpretation, we required science help to understand the pigment that has applied on this carnelian beads. And archaeology and science. What is the contribution of archaeology to the science? For instance, we have having a two type of furnace. The left side furnace is an furnace that has been raised above the ground. That is what we call iron furnace. That means iron is extracted directly from the iron ore. So for which we require about 700 to 800 degrees centigrade. And see the bloom that are available on the left side, the below one. And the right side is the one is a crucible furnace, very important one. In the sense mean the iron has been converted into steel. So the earliest steel so far available in the world comes from South India. So that way, this is one of the important technological advancement they made particularly in India about 2500 years before. That way, how these people reached this level, the technological level that they have reached, and down to the down one, we are having two crucibles. And what we are telling that iron pieces will be put inside and it will rise to the temperature of 1200 to 1300 degrees centigrade, and the iron will be converted into steel by adding a carbon or detecting the carbon, what popularly called carburization method or decarbonization method. So that way there are the science or archaeology, the relation between the science and archaeology, we are having two perceptions. And in that way, the contribution of archaeology and science in the reconstruction of past is undeniable. But one is the contribution of science to archaeology, and another is the contribution of archaeology to science. So it is, in the sense means, the science and archaeology has to go together for the reconstruction of the past, for better interpretation of the past. So, what are the contribution of science to archaeology? What are the subjects involved? So, for instance, physics is totally giving a chronology to our archaeological material in the form of archaeomagnetism, in the form of AMS dating, and also thermoluminescence dating. And these dating systems are the contribution of physics. The chemist or the chemistry in the preservation and conservation of the archaeological monuments and antiquities or any other archaeological material, both organic and inorganic material, the chemistry plays a greater role in the conservation, preservation of the archaeological material. Then in the same way, to identify a rock, to identify a mineral, for instance, I have shown you some of the carnelian beads. There are quartz beads, lapis lazuli, and we are having agate, and we are having black cat eye, we are having beryl, we are having aquamarina. There are several such objects, semi-precious stones we are collecting from the archaeological context. So from where we collected this material is one important. But the same way, some of the material has come from far away distance. For instance, carnelian has come from all the way from Maharashtra up to the South India. For instance, lapis lazuli has comes from Afghanistan. Black cat eye comes from Sri Lanka. Even coral comes from Southeast Asian countries. So that way, to understand the trade contact or the cultural contact between the different zones, the geology helps to identify the material and also the location of the material. In the case of biology, nowadays is biology contribution is enormous. In the same, now DNA test is being used in archaeological context. As I shown you some of the graves, whether it is a male or female, or whether it is a husband or wife, or brother and or sister, the DNA analysis will help you to identify the different cultural groups or social groups. So that way, whether the migration pattern, paleodemography, or who are the people who are continuously occupying a particular zone, cultural zones, can be analyzed with the help of DNA test. And the same way, the botany helps to identify the paleo environment. In the sense means when you collect pollen analysis or phytoliths from our archaeological excavation and in a stratigraphical context, we can identify what type of agricultural pattern was there, or dietary pattern, what they consume every day, what type of monsoon was there, whether dry crops or wet crops, all could be identified based on the phytoliths or based on the pollen analysis. So that way botany helps a lot in understanding the paleo environment. Besides collecting all this archaeological material, what is your duty? Whether you want to represent our human past in a better manner, or you have to interpret in your own way. So the duty of the archaeologist is to not merely collecting the material, he has to go to the field to discover the material, and after discovering the material, he has to document that material in a proper manner, and after documenting the material, what type of material it is, he has to decode. For instance, if you are getting a seal and you have to decode that seal or whatever the script available in the seal, and you have to describe that material that found in the field, and you have to discuss with the various scholars, linguistic, geologists, geologists, or any other sister discipline like anthropology, sociology, to get a better information from that material evidence. Then after that, you have to determine. Finally, you have to determine based on the information you have collected from different scholars. Then you have to determine what the material is. Then after that only you have to disseminate to the larger society. And after that you have to declare the result. These are my findings. But unless otherwise you decode or describe or discuss or determine, you should not disseminate the data, you declare the result unless you completely identify the material. So that way, you have to carry the material or the information to the society without any prejudice or any personal benefit. So we should reconstruct the history or the past to unite the people, and should not manufacture a history to divide the people. Therefore, the past also has two types of history nowadays we are having, namely created history, not only by the present historians or archaeologists, even the ancient rulers or ancient poets or ancient chronologists, they also themselves created certain history to suit the needs of the contemporary society. And also we should not manufacture the history, but the present society must expose the true history for the benefit of all. So the main goal of every archaeologist, or the duty of the archaeologist, to bring a true history to the society. So that way, the role of archaeology is very broad and more important. All the societies have interest in the past, or every individual is interested in knowing the past to understand the present, sometimes also to move forward in the future. All the members of the society are the stakeholders. Don't believe that only archaeologists or historians are the stakeholders of the past. Every member of the society are the stakeholders of the past, and it is not the unique privilege of the archaeologist alone. So archaeologists must have the moral responsibility of preserving the past cultural values that abundant in the past cultural system and in the present cultural system also, and so as to take forward of the future for better coexistence of mutual complex or big complex societies. So how the past society viewed their past is more important in archaeology. Normally what these archaeologists By sitting in the present context, we are viewing our own past. But several rulers or our past society has left several archaeological material as their evidence. For instance, inscriptions, copper plate, palm leaf, monument, and several antiquities they have left. They have also conceived their own past. For instance, the Puranas stories, or how they conceived their past, they have written that one. So how they viewed their own past is more important. That archaeologist has to understand, and they have to interpret that archaeological material. Secondly, majority of the written documents such as literature or inscription, copper plates, monuments, and oral traditions, what we popularly call oral history, were created or composed and engraved with an intention to record their past, to meet the aspiration of the present, and to guide the future also. So it is not only that all the historical documents that have been written during the past days is not only to convey the message to the contemporary society, it also a document want to convey to the future society also, or the future generation also. That way, the whole archaeological material which is documenting the past, and they were the production or product of the ancient society, created, whether it is intentionally or unintentionally, that we have to decide based on the facts that are available within the archaeological or historical documents. So that way, archaeology is playing a greater role in reconstructing the past based on purely with the help of science, or we can say that science and archaeology moves together for the reconstruction of the better past. Thank you very much.